The most common threat is the very next person next to you. Yes, because it's very easy for people now to be able to not only access your personal devices, but also to be able to see this information.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, and welcome to everybody watching. This is a great opportunity, and I'm thankful to you for bringing me on. I'm here to talk about the tech world.
We're here to talk about the tech world, and I'm super excited that we are finally doing this.
Yes, after so long.
After so long, it's just as we start. You can just tell us a bit about yourself and how you got into the space you are in right now. So just share a bit about your journey.
Okay. So my journey didn't start initially in the tech world. I started with sales. We were introduced to the sales world because it was the easiest thing to do the time that I was getting into tertiary education. You know the way it is with our Zambian society. No, you won't find a job if you want to get into the tech world. You're a lady. Find something that would be more interesting. So I found myself studying marketing and sales, in particular, business studies. And that's the field that I started to train myself in. But I think because of the entrance that I took with the tech industry already, I always found myself in jobs where it's not always directly sales. I always had to deal with something sales and, an addition or something. So I dealt with a few systems here and there. And eventually the opportunity finally came for me to now get back into full-time tech. So I went back to school at university. I finally got my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity and information technology. And now I am trying to grow in every aspect of the tech industry itself.
So now that you're in cybersecurity, for somebody who's listening and they've heard about cybersecurity, but they don't really have a clear picture of the team, how would you explain it in simple terms?
Cybersecurity is a wide range, but to summarize it in the simplest form, it's simply protection of your devices, your systems, and your information as a whole. So this would involve protection of data from breaches, protection of your devices from damage that could be caused by either someone invading your privacy or the system itself malfunctioning based off of what it was not designed to do. So really that's how it now diversifies to be specific in what it is that you're performing. The cyberspace involves the data areas that we have online, as well as the available data that is transferred between systems and between people. So that's what we're trying to protect also.
Yes, and it's an interesting field, looking at the fact that we're in a digital world now. Yes, and if we look at, for people who watch a lot of movies, I think we've seen how just one cyber attack can affect everything in a nation,
It takes a whole toll.
Yes. So cybersecurity is something that is very interesting, and my audience and myself want to learn more about it today. So why is cybersecurity important to everyday people? Just an ordinary person who is I'm not a tech person. I don't really deal with computers every day. So why should I care?
Why you should care? You should care because everything that we deal with, be it on your daily basis with the devices that we use and the information that we exchange, whether it's in a conversation, whether it's on a mobile device, on a seated device, it could be a laptop. This information is so much that we share in such a way that if you don't understand what it is that you're sharing, there's always a threat that could be used to either hinder you or the person next to you or the person that's involved within your circles. So it's important that each and every one of us gets more aware of what it is that is happening within the cyberspace. So this would mean taking the action to understand, to say, you should care because it's your information, it's your data, it's your content, it's information that involves you and involves the next person that will be in existence for the next 10, 20, 30 years after you're gone. Yes.
Okay. So now, if we're looking at the cybersecurity space, I believe that it's also a broad space, right?
It is very.
Yes, just like every time we talk about IT, we talk about technologies, we know that it's not just some simple thing, but it can be broken down into several components. So if we are looking at people who are involved in cybersecurity, what are some of the roles that people play in cybersecurity?
Okay, so to define it, when we talk about cybersecurity, you are basically looking at 4 main areas, but I'll mention 3 for now. So you have the confidential side,
Yes.
you have the integrity side, and then you have the accessibility side. Okay. So this basically has to deal with confidentiality. You're talking about people that are involved in the information that you are either keeping sensitive or private, what can be shared and what cannot be shared. Then when we talk about integrity is basically holding up what you have said is, and it should stand as you have mentioned, yes. So it's holding up that very true to it, to say you have not altered this information, you have kept it as it is, whether you move it from one place to another, whether you share it with one person or another, or you share it through a device or another, it still stays the same as you initially intended it to be. Yes. Then accessibility, we are talking about how accessible is this information? Is it something that can be easily reached? If not, why is it not easily reached? If it's designed in such a way, should it be even something that should be known or not? Yeah. Is it something that you can possess and hold, or is it something that can simply be given and made available for everyone? So in these different aspects, from what I've mentioned, you have people that function in these particular areas under cybersecurity. You know, you have the pen testers, you have your analysts, you have your data developers, you have your security and defense side. The defense side comes on twofold. So you have the blue team and the red team. Okay. One is offensive, one is defensive. Yes, offensive in that when you have predicted what could be a threat, yes, you will know to say, okay, this person could threaten my system or my information in such a way. So now you develop something that will be able to now attack. So you figure out to say, what kind of attack can I perform on this? And it's now your job to make sure that you push it to the max, yes, in terms of how far you can go with destroying or trying to threaten and break it down. Yes. Then the blue team now is on the defensive side. So now this is where your threat detection comes in. How early can you detect this? What kind of systems can you put in advance currently? Whether it's involving traditional systems as well as external systems. Yes. And then how best can you make sure that you delay the process of anyone trying to either hinder your information or break into your system? You push it so much that everything that you put so many blocks in between that even if they get here, they shouldn't be able to get to this level. Yes. If they get here, they shouldn't be able to get to this level until you can protect the very information that lays at the foundation of what you're trying to protect.
Okay, that's interesting. You know, I think the whole concept of the red team and the blue team, if you look at it, cybersecurity is kind of complex now. If I begin to like analyze it in that way. Yeah. And you also talked about pen testing. Yes. I think for some of the listeners, maybe they might not have an idea of what pen testing is. Of course. This is where now ethical hackers fall under, right?
Exactly.
Yes. So I would just love you to break it down a bit for them so that they can just like get, okay, so there's also this.
Okay, so for pen testing, you also have a breakdown of who it is that functions in this area. But to summarize it, you're talking about critical information that you are trying to make sure is protected. So ethical hacking simply means, in its very sense, ethically done to hack a system, but not in a way to evade information, more of protection of information. So it involves penetrating a system that is currently in existence or to be in existence in such a way that you define what it is that is critical and what is non-critical. Then now you break it down in how it is that you can now isolate to be able to protect or to improve and make sure this system is constantly under the circular form of protection.
Okay, so if I'm an enthusiast, I love hacking, and then I've just said, okay, you can be a penetration tester and you can do pen testing on systems. Yeah. How do I go about it? Is it something that I can do as a hobby? Because I think we know that people sometimes they just hack for the fun of it. Like it's just exciting for you to break into a system, get to see data there. But so if you do it like that, and then let's say you go and report,
Yes.
since penetration testers have to report, right?
Yes, it's always something that is done by strict laws as well as regulations.
Okay, so is there a way that can I be safe to penetrate into a system without their consent, and then afterwards tell them I found flaws in your system, these are the weaknesses? Is it possible for a person to do that?
Unethically, yes. Unfortunately, those are times when now you find that we have what we call your external threat actors.
Yes.
Because these are the people that now, the internal people under the cybersecurity are trying to make sure your system is not vulnerable too. So yes, we've had a few incidences here and there for the interest of knowing that, so let's say, for example, Google has developed a new operating system. There could be someone from any part of the world. The most common, I hope I don't get attacked for mentioning this, but the most common have been people that have come out and said they originated from specific countries like Russia or China. And these people would push to the limit to see just how good of a system it is. So you say it's new because you've improved in certain areas. Okay. So they always try to find a way to say, how else can I pull out information? Even if it's just showing you that, no, you said this can do this.
Yes.
But here it is that it can't do. You see? So it's very possible. It is not right. That's why we have people in my field able to detect these things before you're able to see them. Sometimes it's not always the immediate action that is taken, because sometimes you want to let someone in, say, okay, fine, you're trying to break my door. Come in, let's see. Because there's security measures are put in here, but just because you can break that one door doesn't mean you get to the very root of of what it is that I have here. Yes, so people take risks in trying to make sure they prove a point when it comes to their skills and, knowledge of know-how. Because anybody that takes an interest in just figuring out what it is that you can do to build something, you can always find a way to, look at the mirror side of it. Yes. So if you can make something work like this, you probably can make it work like this. Yes.
So I was asking this because I wanted to find out, do ethical hackers work, do they have a license that authorizes them to practice as an ethical hacker?
Yes.
So if somebody does not have a license, but they have the knowledge and they want to work as an ethical hacker, do they just have to start going through the whole school process? They already know what to do.
No, not entirely. So it doesn't necessarily always have to take the school route.
Yeah.
Yes, because what you do is for you to even be able to get into a system, first of all, any machine that you're working on will already have a data trail that will be built into the system. So what you're basically doing is teaching whatever it is that you're doing to perform in a certain way. So that already, with the zones that we have across the world, remember, you're operating in particular areas where certain functions can be performed while certain functions cannot be performed. Some will be immediately alerted to say this person is trying to do this. Yes. Even if people think just because you're seated here, you may not be able to be known. That's not true. A machine has a communicative sector in which it always communicates. So if you're trying to perform a particular function, let's say maybe you're trying to break into a system, obviously you're going to install either a software that will perform this action,
yes,
or you will build one.
Yes.
But to build one, you need to connect it to that particular either network or system that you're trying to break into. So that connection already opens you up to different channels that will be giving an alert to say there's this attempt and it's being performed by either a system that is unrecognized, most likely because it's new. It's nothing that has really been identified. So that unrecognition on that particular system that you're trying to penetrate in already give an alert automatically. Yes, whether you have something to protect your system or not, there is a way that machines are able to detect and communicate, knowing that this is something new. So if you have a few security measures in place, you get an alert. If you don't, you will notice that it will get corrupt because, well, you're trying to perform something that,
During the day. Yeah, and I think even just for like ordinary people, you need to be very alert to these things. Even just like social media accounts, because we, like you've said, there are systems that detect intrusion. So even our social media platforms that we use detect an intrusion, and most of the time you find that the system even gives you a warning.
Yes.
To say, okay, there's a login from this device that you've never used before. So is it you or is it not you? But one thing that I've found out is that a lot of people do not pay attention to such notifications.
Exactly.
So the time that you try to log in next time, you find that your account has been taken over. But you check your email, you were given
the warning.
Yeah, to say if it's not you, then
Perform such an action.
Perform such an action and stop this. So I think we should be very alert to our systems, just even normal systems like social media accounts, work or company systems that we use within the company. We need to be very alert to such things. Yeah, and that's very important.
Yes, another thing people need to make sure that they always remember is that, as I mentioned earlier, a system will always authenticate. Whether it communicates in one way or another, that authentication process is what now helps us define to say what it is that has been allowed and it is not allowed. Yes, so protect yourselves, please. Some of the things that are happening these days, they weren't as common before because people didn't really use as much of the systems that we have available today. But then also just the fact that they're now more accessible. Before, yes, they were more restricted to certain societies and people. But now we have everybody involved in one way or another. So allow yourself to use the systems carefully, but still enjoy them. But put in the protective measures that we always are constantly saying. Turn on your multi-factor authentication. Put your password with certain characters. Allow for clear, understanding of what it is that you're using.
Talking this not to cybersecurity experts, but to just people in general, because if one thing that I know about security is that the weakest link is the people.
Yes,
and then you'll find that an innocent person is just using a computer at a company, an accountant. A receptionist, just click on their computer, but then they're exposing the
entire system, the entire operation.
These things that you've mentioned.
Exactly.
Yes. So, what are some of the threats that people should look out for in terms of cybersecurity threats? Yeah, some common threats that we face today, especially here in Zambia and just like everywhere, just around the world.
The most common threat is the very next person next to you. Yes, because it's very easy for people now to be able to not only access your personal devices, but also to be able to see this information. So when I talk about the person next to you, I mean anybody could be, let's say maybe a given scenario, on some mobile transport, a Yango, a bus, whatever it is, you're on your phone and you simply want to scroll through social media. That scrolling process, I don't know whether it's an inquisitiveness or people just taking an interest because it looks attractive. It's social media. There's colors here, there's pictures here, there's videos here, there's sounds here. So someone may, turn their head to see exactly what's going on. But in that, not everybody is as honest as just taking a peek and laughing at what you're looking at. Sometimes they'll look at what it is that you're typing and they'll look at your face and say, oh, where have I seen this person before? Or is it possible to actually get, what they're saying, who they're talking to? They see the person, maybe let's say it's a common name, a politician of some sort, and they say, oh, this person was saying so and so. And they share this information outside. Yes. See, so that's the number one threat that we face today. It's always just someone being too inquisitive to share information that they really have no business sharing. Another threat that we face today when it comes to personal devices in particular is the corruption of the existing systems that we have. So this is through the injection of different malicious content.
Yes.
It's in many forms. It could be a virus. The most common that most people understand is a virus.
Because to to us, most people, every malware is a virus.
Yes, we know how to break it down and specify what is what. But that very virus that you know to say, no, my picture is not opening. No, I can't hear my sound. No, I clicked on this link, it's some random link that popped up. Maybe it was an ad and everything just went haywire. All those things are some of the type of threats that we face now more than ever on personal devices, even on your laptop. You see, because the malware, when I talk about malware, I mean any malicious content that has been used to, corrupt a system. So that very content, when it's put on a machine of any kind, it could even be something as simple as, your CCTV camera.
Yes.
Someone can open it to be able to view what is happening in your home if it's connected to your home. Sometimes people open people's phones. I have been able to do a few experiments here and there to be able to understand how it is that someone can be walking, maybe let's say talking in an office, and the way we put our stands these days, most people prefer to put a phone on a stand as you're working so that you can see if there's any notification coming in and you're working. Simply turn on that person's camera, and if it's facing their computer, let's say, for example, simply get the information and reshare it. People will be wondering, say, but I never shared this information with anyone. No, it's because they could see it. Another, not very common, but very dangerous is ransomware.
Yes.
So ransomware, it's software that basically comes to you in any form. It could be channeled through an email.
Yes.
It could be channeled through a message. It could be channeled through a particular network in a system. So this is basically what it states. It's ransom. I hold ransom information that is important to you, and I tell you, pay me this amount or this sort, or else you have no access to the information. This is usually targeted at huge, big industries and entities, of a certain magnitude, because the threat actors just want the money.
Yes.
So they demand for it in many forms. Yes, there are a lot more, but these are some of the most common that we see in almost every sector. It doesn't matter whether it's the health industry, the tech industry itself, banking. Yes. We've seen it even here in Zambia. These messages that you get, ndarama za chani za choka, za skeleton. All those. You see? So it's another way. Obviously, someone figured out a way to get into the simplest databases that we have. You've seen how we collect information. Yeah. So it could have been someone that simply just went and picked up this information and now is trying to use it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I've even remembered there's this, I don't know, a week ago, I think, I just received a message saying that the job I applied for had been approved. And then there was a link there and some money, like an offer of how much I'll be getting paid. Okay. So I just laughed. Econ gives you a job response to an application through an SMS.
Through an SMS. Yes. You even put it with a structured text to say, this is the package that you'll be getting, to make it look attractive.
So now what I wanted to ask was, what job did I apply for? Because it didn't state. It was just a job that I applied for.
How do you know that I applied for a job? What do you mean? How did you get my information?
And then you'd find that people through that would get very excited, like, oh, there's an amount here. Let me click the link so that I find out.
You find out more, yes, because that's the driving sector there to say, click on it so that you find out. Not knowing.
People click without knowing what they're doing, and that's very dangerous.
Very.
Yes, so we need to be on the lookout, especially I think here in Zambia the biggest threat are the scams.
Yes.
And most of the scams look silly to some of us, and then we are like, how do they even pull this off? And people get scammed in it, like they really do, and you hear so many people complaining, and you're like, so this one was convinced just like this. But then when you look at the content, you'll be like, oh, now I see why you could have been taken advantage of. Something else that we can talk about is artificial intelligence. I think now, today, AI is everywhere. If you even find AI on your pillow when you wake up in the morning. Yeah, so I think it's affecting a lot of things like cybersecurity, because now there are people who are, even somebody who's not an expert in writing code, malicious code, you'd find that they can trick an AI to generate malicious
code for
code,
them,
yes.
yes.
And then they can be able to perform and execute an attack. So how is AI affecting the cyberspace in terms of benefits as well as in terms of risks that we are facing?
Okay, artificial intelligence it's heavily dependent on data.
Yeah.
You see, data and machine learning put together to be able to use whatever models that have been put in place to be able to build, a particular something. It could be anything at this point, yes. So now in the existing world that we have, AI is being embedded in almost everything. Yes. We are at a point where AI can perform some of the most humane functions that a normal person would be able to do, but now you see it in a machine. Yeah. And it's being presented in every form that you can think about now. Now they're trying to even humanize them in the most clear way, you see. So artificial intelligence now needs to be something that people need to pay attention to, not only because of the interest of it, because the technological advancement, honestly, is amazing.
Yes, amazing.
It's mind-blowing every day that I look at it, but it's also scary because you look at just how open everything now is, because as I mentioned, it's heavily dependent on data. So you're constantly feeding information into the artificial intelligence systems that are inexistent. Then now the question comes in where we need to figure out to say, what exactly is this data content, comprised of?
Yes.
You see, because if you're going to keep pushing him information, it could be because you simply are functioning with a software that is built on AI. It means it is supposed to continuously learn, which is one advantage of AI. Yes, it's continuous learning throughout. But then also that presents a disadvantage because the information that you're constantly using, the questions that we ask, for example, the simplest form I think most people are exposed to is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our favorite.
Our favorite. It can perform so many functions now that initially would have to struggle through, even go to class to learn. But now all you have to do is type in your sentence, structure your sentence well, and there you have it. It will produce for you. So all that is a way that particular intelligence system is learning to say, when people ask such questions, they want this kind of information. So it goes now in databases of all sorts, looks for that information and gives it to you. Now that access in and out of different points of, information and data contents is where now we start to ask ourselves to say, what exactly is happening?
Yes.
You see, what exactly is this involving? How exactly is this changing? How much is being affected? How much is not being affected? So these are areas that we need to look at individually as well as a whole when it comes to people of not only our country but as of the world.
Yeah. I think let's just talk about the cybersecurity career itself. Just briefly, if you were to encourage somebody who wants to step into your field right now, what message would you give that person? Yes.
To get into the cyber world.
Yes.
Wow. I would encourage more people not only to take the step because it's something that can be done, but then also because the direction in change is inevitable. Yes. No matter how much people try to make it seem like, no, but this shouldn't happen. It is happening. So the changes that are taking place right now involve a lot of technological advances. So if you're going to allow yourself to be part of this, and it's for the dimensional changes that we're trying to, manifest as not only people, but the fact that we have not only the ability, but the understanding to be able to, indulge ourselves in these things. I'd encourage others to also take the step to get into the tech world. If you want to join cybersecurity, please do. We need more people. Not only because you'll be there to protect a system, but you'll also be able to add in that now it's about management of so many things. So you can not only manage time, you can manage your abilities, you can manage the entertainment area, because it is quite entertaining to be around a machine, but then also be able to share ideas with people, because you see just how it is that People have ideas. People have a vast understanding in which they can expand their minds. You know, they look at a system and they say, okay, this can do this. How about if we try this? Then you discover, oh no, it's not only this. There's also this.
Yes.
That discovery process, honestly, is so amazing when you involve some people that have, you know, allowed themselves to be able to develop this interest. It's so nice, and it's involving, but then it allows us to be able to add things that we never could have added maybe 10 years ago. So if you want to study for it, take it seriously, because it's not something that you will learn within a day.
Yes.
Be patient with yourself also, especially if you're taking the school route. The school route involves two main areas, where you go the academic way, get your qualifications, your bachelor's degrees and, you know, higher up, and then your certifications. Certifications, there are so many, because as I mentioned, we have a widespread, you know, sector in which you can specialize, but it doesn't mean you only do one area. You can add in one thing. So a certification not only exposes you to the information itself, but then you have a practical essence in which you're applying this particular thing that you're learning. Then in your application, you can also see just how specific you can be to the environments that you're in. You could be a banker,
yes,
but still be able to develop a banking system that allows, you know, an advancement for not only your company, but anything that you would want to do.
Thank you very much for this great conversation that we had.
Yes.
It was my pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for having me. I hope more people get involved, and I look forward to seeing more episodes.
Yes, thank you very much. You see more cases for Zakami. And more consistently now.
Yes.
Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for listening to the Tech Convo. It has been a great conversation. To me, Chims and Tumba, we say goodbye.